Year 7. Today we want to move on from our work where we've started to learn a little bit about algebra, but instead we want to be able to use a variable, a letter, to convert worded expressions like these into what we call algebraic expressions. Now, it's pretty straightforward. What you have to do here is replace the idea with the letter A and what is happening to it. So for example, for the first one, it asked me to do 3 times the number. A is the number, so I can write that as 3A. Notice how I'm able to simplify it to that. 3 less than the number is equal to the number minus 3. The next consecutive number. Now you need to know that consecutive numbers are just numbers in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Well, the next consecutive number, we don't know what we're starting at, but we know to find the next one is just A plus 1. As you saw in our little quiz to start with, what we had was a number multiplied by itself. That is the same as A squared. Just make sure it looks like an A. If we wanted to find the square root of a number, we use the square root symbol and just write the A inside. Finally, if we wanted to find 1/3 of a number, yes, you could write 1/3 times A. But we know when we're multiplying fractions, it's top times top, bottom times bottom. So we can actually simplify that to A over 3. Now, that's pretty quick, isn't it? This looked like a lot of work. But if we have this understanding, we can see we can write it much quicker. Now, I'm just giving you a chance to get those all down because I'm about to get rid of them all and show you a whole lot more. So here's the next lot, and of course I need to rub out some of this. I'll leave the bottom one so you can keep keeping up with that. But this one asked me to write an expression for, and it gives you the letter and then the number as well. So the sum of means the addition of, or adding those two numbers together. And so what we've actually got is n plus 6. Double J, which used to be a radio station, if you didn't know that, is the same as 2 lots of J. U increased by 8. Well, that's just going to be U plus 8. Now, you might be going, why don't they just always say it the same? Because when you get out there in the real world, Year 7, you will experience people who use all sorts of terminology to represent things. The difference between R and S sounds a bit tricky because we don't know which one's larger. But for us, we can just write S minus R. Let's assume that S is larger. Taking out those bottom 2 that were from the previous slide, the product of T and 12. Well, product means times. Okay, so you could write T times 12, but what I showed you last lesson is that you can actually simplify that to 12, and it's better to always put the number first, T. And finally, how many times Y divides into 70? A different way to express it, but really all it means is 70 divided by or over Y. Again, that was another 6 examples, which my mathematical work became much shorter, much quicker, much sharper. You need to be able to recognise when you see something like this, n plus 6, that it means adding n and 6 together. That's what we're going to be doing. You're going to get in and do some practice because you need to be able to recognise this work, Year 7.